up period? Or is it the adventurous teenage period when we got to be 13 years of age and we thought we knew everything, and we discovered that our parents were a little old-fashioned? Not that we did not love them, but now we kind of wandered out of the house a little bit. Or is it the age of you're 21 years of age, and now you're on your own? You can vote, and you can make your own decisions. But the problem with that is that now you have to be accountable for what you do. Or is it the middle age or the senior age when you feel time is drawing near and you have to really get your act together? No matter what age, the most beautiful time in life is when we no longer condemn but have compassion. The most beautiful time in life is when we discover human hearts do not need judgment but help. Once we criticize and we're judgmental, and now we need to understand. When we are close to God, who only knows forgiveness and love, that is the most important time of our life. Our goal in life is to know God and to be intimate with Him. Jesus said to us that we have to know God. Jesus also said, "No one has seen God." But Jesus did use an image of God so often, it is obvious that He wanted us to think about God in a certain way. He wanted to give us help in knowing who God is. He wanted to view God from a certain perspective. It is striking, therefore, that in the four Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, God is described over 140 times by the word Father. In the Gospel, Jesus uses a special word for Father, Abba. It is a word of endearment, expressing great love and intimacy. And of course, when He taught His disciples to pray, He taught them the prayer that begins with the Our Father. This is the best known, most used prayer in all of Christendom. When we say the Our Father, we should always pause and think that this is our Father. In the Gospel today, listen, Jesus says, "The Father and I are one." When He said that, He stunned many people, and probably some of us. But He means it literally. Before a crowd that has gathered around Him in the temple, He claims divinity. A little later in the story, the crowd accuses Him of blasphemy, and they try to stone Him. "You are only a man, you claim to be God," they say to Him. Now that's in John chapter 10, verse 33. Jesus responds to these charges by telling us the parable of the sheep. I first heard this story when I was in elementary school back in the great state of Minnesota, when they started talking about the sheep, and the nuns explained that the sheep herder trains his sheep. And usually the one that they're talking about had 100 sheep in the flock. One day, one of them disappeared. And the shepherd told the sheep to stay and wait for him, the 99. So he went off looking for the lost one. And when he found him, he was in a ticket, stickers and all that, thorns and all that stuff. If he could speak, he'd holler, "Get me out of here, I'm hurting." And the sheep herder took the sheep out, cleaned them up a little bit, and took them back to the flock. A lot of that is like us in our lives. When we go the wrong direction and we get in trouble, always know that Jesus will come after you. He says, "My sheep know me, and I know them. You are the sheep, He is the sheep herder. The sheep that belong to me listen to my voice." This directly parallels the relationship between Him and His Father. Jesus, both God and man. He is one with the Father, and the members of His flock are one with Him. He is intimate union with the Father, and the members of His flock are in intimate union with Him. He was raised from His crucifixion and death by the Father, and He will raise up His flock on the last day. That's a beautiful story. I could stop right there, but no, we have to start thinking about ourselves and how we react to all these things. You know, we all have a conscience. And our conscience dictates what we do, bad or good. And the best thing you can say about a conscience is that you have an informed conscience. In this world that we live in, know that the devil wants your soul. He wants us to follow him and will promise anything, as he did he tempted Jesus at the parapet and offered them the whole world. And he offered also Adam and Eve with his empty promises. For us, our conscience is the source of our decision making, and we have to make our own decisions. There has been a great deal of talk recently about conscience raising, becoming aware of our inner life in the world around us and the people we encounter. Many books have been written about this subject, and many of them are very helpful. But the most important kind of consciousness raising is to raise our consciousness of the presence of God. Jesus is telling us to go down to the center of our being and there experience the presence of a living God as being that of a loving Father. Now, when we came into this world, our father and our mother were our gods. And we learned to love our fathers and mothers. And when we grew older, we became more independent and started learning about God. Our Father is one who is strong and caring and forgiving and healing, always concerned about our well-being. If we can do this, then we can trust God. We can abandon ourselves to God. We can allow God to have his way with us, whatever the consequences might be. This is what our religion, our Christianity, comes down to. Whether we trust God or not. Even when we don't have all our questions answered, when things seem to be going the wrong way for us, do we trust God or do we not trust him? It's as simple as that. Isn't that what life is all about for us? And to repeat, when we are near God, that is the most important time of our life. What God offers us is eternity. We are part of the sheep herd or the flock, and we shall get our rewards. We have all this to look forward to. And I look at myself and think about, I'll be there pretty soon. I'll see all my loved ones again, and so will you. My mother, my father, a brother, a son, all my loved ones, and there's many of them. And we're going to have a banquet. I used to do this service at homilies, and I always say, and we're going to have one heck of a time. We all have this to look forward to. And you know what? The bottom line, the choice is yours.